Welcome in, everyone, for our deep dive this time into AI and education.
Yeah.
You sent over some really interesting material from a presentation that was focused on how South Korea is tackling this.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I love the way that they set this whole thing up by taking us through the history of power.
Yeah.
It's like a really unexpected but really smart way to kind of lay the groundwork.
It really is.
For talking about this stuff.
It makes you really stop and think about how much things have shifted.
Yeah.
Like you start with this image of a phone charging.
Okay.
Right? That's our modern day symbol of power.
Mm-hmm.
Then they take you way back to hunter-gatherers, where it was all about physical strength and knowledge of the natural world to survive.
Yeah.
Then boom, agriculture.
Right.
Owning land and cultivating crops.
Mm.
That becomes the ultimate source of power. And then fast forward to the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
Where factories and machines take center stage.
Right.
So yeah, it's like a visual timeline of how power has shifted over centuries. And I think it really helps you grasp the impact of technology in the 21st century.
And they use some Korean text labels to kind of guide us through this.
Yeah.
So they highlight the 18th century, then the 19th and 20th centuries,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 20th and 21st centuries.
Right.
And it's so interesting how that progression really mirrors this shift from physical resources being the source of power
Yeah.
to now data and AI are becoming the new power players.
That's really it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they hit us with these facts they show the top 5 global companies by year,
Mm-hmm.
starting back in 2007.
Yeah.
And back then, it was all about energy giants like ExxonMobil
Yeah.
and telecom giants like China Mobile.
Right.
But then by 2017, the landscape had completely changed.
Yeah.
It was tech titans like Apple,
Mm-hmm.
Google, and Amazon were ruling the roost.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and by 2019, Microsoft had taken the lead with Amazon and Google right behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And then get this, when we look at data from 2024,
Okay.
it gets even more clear. The list of the most valuable brands and companies, it's dominated by Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon.
Oh, wow.
And if we look at the top companies by market capitalization as of October 17th, 2024,
Mm-hmm.
it's crystal clear tech companies are the new powerhouses.
It's a totally different world.
It really is. I mean, it's crazy to think about how much things have changed, especially for those of us who remember a time before smartphones and social media were everywhere.
I know, right?
So this begs the question, how does this shift in power impact education?
Well, the presentation jumps right into that with this concept of digital natives.
Okay.
You'll love this. There's this funny cartoon of this kid in class, and he's looking at the chalkboard.
Okay.
And he's like, there aren't any icons to click. It's a chalkboard.
Uh-huh.
It's hilarious, but it's so true.
Yeah.
It highlights this disconnect between traditional teaching methods
Right.
and how today's students actually think and learn.
Mm.
These kids, they've grown up surrounded by technology. They're fluent in the language of the internet. So expecting them to thrive in a learning environment that doesn't tap into that, it doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't.
The presentation emphasizes how we need an educational transformation.
Okay.
It contrasts that old school classroom emphasis on memorizing facts,
Yeah.
following instructions,
Right.
with the schools that are actually essential in the digital age.
Mm-hmm.
Things like critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving.
So it's not about abandoning the fundamentals like reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
But it's about finding ways to kind of integrate digital tools to enhance them.
Exactly. It's about meeting students where they are,
Yeah.
empowering them to learn in a way that aligns with how their digitally wired brains operate.
Right.
And that's where AI comes in.
Okay, so let's talk AI.
Yeah.
The presentation really doesn't shy away from this game changer at all.
No.
So it starts by defining it. AI is artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
But then it takes us on this fascinating journey through its development.
Yeah. I love how they lay out that historical timeline.
Uh-huh.
AI has had its ups and downs. It started with this burst of enthusiasm in the mid-20th century.
Okay.
Then it kind of went quiet for a bit.
Right.
And then, bam, deep learning emerged.
Mm.
AI explodes onto the scene,
Yeah.
touching every aspect of our lives.
And it feels like we've hit this tipping point
Oh,
where
yeah.
AI is no longer this futuristic concept.
Right.
It's like a powerful force shaping the present.
I know.
And speaking of deep learning,
Yeah.
the presentation does such a good job of breaking down like the different types of programming.
Mm-hmm.
They use these clear visuals to show the input-output flow for traditional programming, machine learning and deep learning, making it really easy to grasp the distinctions.
Yeah, those diagrams were super helpful.
I thought so too.
Yeah, it's like with traditional programming, you give the computer very specific instructions.
Right.
With machine learning, you feed it data and let it learn the patterns. But then deep learning is like machine learning on steroids.
Okay.
More layers, more complexity,
Right.
allowing the AI to recognize these incredibly nuanced patterns.
It's kind of like the difference between telling someone exactly how to bake a cake
Yeah.
or giving them a recipe. Or like giving them a fully equipped kitchen and a culinary AI assistant to guide them through it.
I like that analogy.
So how does this translate to the world of education?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah, what are the benefits and the potential drawbacks of incorporating AI into the classroom?
Well, the presentation dives right into that,
Okay.
highlighting both the exciting possibilities.